Okay.
Hi, I'm Łukasz from XAOC Devices. I'll show you our new modules. Let's start with the effects modules. The first one is the Timiszoara, which is a digital DSP effects module. It's based on the FV1 spin chip, 100% open source. You load virtual cartridges onto the micro SD card and load them into the memory of the Timiszoara, and each of these virtual cartridges contains 8 algorithms, that is 8 effects, and once they're loaded you can switch them anytime, either manually or via these 2 inputs. The first one uses you use a continuous CV source to scan through the algorithms. The second one uses a gate, and with each gate or a trigger advances to the next one. I will show you that. Now we are scanning with the waveform, and now we're using a square wave like a trigger, and it advances into the next one. So you can use a very slow clock divider, for example, and have the Timiszoara switch from a delay to a reverb mid-song, mid-live set. Very, very, very useful. Each algorithm has got 3 parameters. You can control them either manually via these sliders or via CV. You can also control the crossfader, the analog wet-dry crossfader, also either manually or with a CV input. The module is either mono or dual mono or stereo. It all depends on the algorithm that we're using. Okay, the second effects unit is Sarajevo. It's an analog delay with the range from 20 milliseconds up to a second and a half. It's got CV control over the mix, dry wet mix, and the time as well. We use 3 BBD chips, so you have 3 taps out, so you can, for the shortest, the middle and the longest delays, so you can use these and process the delayed audio through kamieniec, for example, or a filter or another delay, and come back into Sarajevo via this input. We've got the tone control for the delayed signal. You can either boost treble or boost bass or do nothing. Feedback control, of course. And now for the interesting things. The first thing interesting is the fact that the filtering of the clock noise is progressive. So when you're using short delay times, the filter is almost open. So we don't filter high frequencies because we wouldn't hear the clock noise anyway. So why lose the high end? When you increase the delay time, the cutoff frequency of the filter lowers to filter the inevitable clock noise. So the longer delays are darker, like what we've come to associate with analog delays, and the shorter ones are pristine with the high end, that whatever you put in, that it goes out. Another interesting feature is the syncing. The syncing, you can either tap the tempo or use the clock, and even if the clock is outside the range of the delay, so it's either faster than the 20 milliseconds or slower than a second and a half, the delay still stays in sync. What it does, it multiplies or divides the incoming clock to offer the closest available delay range that is in sync with the clock. So whatever you throw at it, it will sync to it for sure. Now the smallest new module, it's a NIN expanded for the Zadar. We've added 4 manual triggers for each channel. Each channel has got its own manual trigger and a set of 4 additional CV inputs. So now when you enter the menu, instead of only one page for CV modulation and the attenuation and inverting, when you push it the second time, you've got CV2, and this is for these inputs. That's the third one. The fourth one, let it be Samarra. This is my favorite from the current batch. It's less glamorous than the effects units, but it's very, very useful. It's like in the previous version. It's a 4-channel mixer, attenuator, inverter, offset generator. The first 2 channels generate offset. In the first version, they only generated plus 5 volts, so you could turn a bipolar signal into a unipolar signal. But now we get to choose. Oh, the red one is positive, so it's plus 5 volts, and the green one is negative, so we can turn a unipolar signal into a bipolar signal. But the most important changes are here in the middle. With this button, we cycle through the 5 available modes. When nothing is lit, the Samarra acts like before. So these outputs output the minimum and maximum of the CVs that we are mixing. When we push it once, we enter the MM2 mode, which is also minimum and maximum, but only for the first 2 channels. The second mode is a clamp mode. In this mode, these 2 knobs adjust the boundaries of clipping of the incoming waveforms. So, for example, here we have the whole amplitude of a waveform, and then when we use these, we have something like a smaller window, and it just clips. It doesn't morph, doesn't change the incoming waveform. It just clips it. So the result is another interesting waveform. The third mode is a sequential switch. The first input is for the trigger, and the second, third, and fourth are for the switched signals. So you input a trigger here, and we cycle through these. And in this one, we have it switches in a pendulum motion, so forward, back, and in this one, it cycles in a circular motion. Both are available at the same time, so pretty handy as well. And I forgot to mention that all of these, of course, work in all the modes, so you still get offset, inversion, and attenuation, and mixing. And the last mode is the dual sample and hold mode. So the second and the fourth channel, you input the trigger there, and the first and third are the waves that we are sampling, and the left output is for the left pair and the right output is for the right pair. I've been using it for a week and a half or something, and I already can't imagine patching without it. So it's less, as I said, less glamorous than effects processors or a complicated oscillator, but very, very useful. And if you were to replicate its functionality, you would have to use half a row of Eurorack probably. So that's the fourth one. This is Hrad. This is the expander for the Praga module. It acts as a output module. You've got switches on the back to switch from the LAN output or modular output, so you can use it as a real output module for your system. It's got separate headphones output and a separate headphones level control, which is independent of the master level. So it's very, very handy for previewing the samples, the patches, and another way to helpful when previewing patches is the Q input. We can preview a patch without it going out the main outputs, either in the context of the whole mix, or when we push this button, we will solo the Q. These knobs control the return level of the auxiliary outputs from the Praga, which is pretty handy to have so close to everything else. And also we have VCA control of the signal before hitting this crossfader. So before we can have a channel send 100% through the A auxiliary loop, but have the VCA turned down and it doesn't go there. When we open up the VCA, it's only then it's affected by the effects processor in the auxiliary loop. So this is Hrad, and the last one is the Jena. It's another addition to a Leibniz subsystem of binary 8-bit computing devices. This one acts like a waveshaper. It's got 10 banks of tables. Each table consists of 256 waves. And what it does is we input a wave into the Dresno, because it doesn't work standalone. It needs Dresno as the heart. And the wave we input into Dresno scans the waves that are written in the memory of Jena. I won't go into much detail because it would take half an hour, but the applications are wave shaping, rhythm generation, and synthesis. And everything is interconnected. You can use Lipsk to switch the binary output of Jena on and off, and it really works as a system. Thank you.